Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of Into the Stands. I'm Colin, joined here by Chris and Robbie. And today we're going to talk about baseball. So, to start off, let's talk about the World Series, which has just ended. The Houston Astros have won the World Series, much to the dismay of the Yankees fans here, both me and Chris. Now, the Astros won this series in 6 games after throwing the no hitter, which actually tied the series at 2-2, and then they won Game 5 in Philadelphia, and then ended up winning Game 6 in Houston. So the Astros have now won their second franchise championship. And the biggest question that's going to come of this is, does this validate their 2017 championship? Does this, or not validate it, but does this kind of give them their first, some people would say, real championship? Does this, kind of push aside those narratives that the Astros are only winners because of cheating? I start off with you, Chris. What do you make of that?
No, I think it does. Look, I believe they won in 2017. I'm not that type of fan that's like, oh, they didn't win because they cheated. No, I think it's a championship. I mean, of course they cheated to get there, and that's a big question people have. But no, they won it, and they had really good pitching too. That's the big thing. It's not like they were giving up runs and scoring up runs. I get there were some games in there like I think it was Game 4 of the World Series or Game 5, whatever it was. That was like a extra inning win. It was like 11-11 in like the extra innings or something like that. But for the most part, they got to the World Series with pitching, really good pitching, and there was not much cheating involved there. So yeah, I'm not one of those fans that dwells on the past and complains that 2017 wasn't real, because there's just no point in doing that. It's the past. But I think this does end all of those conversations and debates that people would have as to whether 2017 was real or not. Because it turns out, well, this is a not real. This is a different Astros team, definitely. But it just, I mean, I think it's about time. I mean, I feel like it's like 3 years late by this point, but I think it's about time people realize that this Astros team is legit, and they're going to be legit for a very long time.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And the difference between how these teams are sort of constructed, is interesting to me, because when you look at the rotation from the 2017 squad, you guys like Garrett Cole and Verlander doing it all. Now you still have Verlander, and you still have Lance McCullers. But you got guys like Framber Valdez,
I
who
think it's about time he starts to get his recognition.
he deserves it. He looked fantastic in that series. Was it who did the no hitter? Javier.
It was Javier.
Kirsten Javier.
He's like their 4-starter.
Urquidy is still there. I feel like, and these scores are still McCullers and Verlander. If Verlander stays, which we have to dive into that in a little bit. Yeah. But at the end of the day, the Astros, I mean, you replaced Carlos Correa with Jeremy Pena, and he's a stud. Who would have thought? I don't think many people, when you see Jeremy Pena coming up with the Astros, saying, wow, this guy is the new Correa. I mean, you could, but you didn't really see in AAA that athletic build, kind of defense, kind of like Correa did. Boy, did he shut up some haters. And it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think
he looked great.
Oh yeah, and I think that is something the team from the Bronx can learn. It's about maybe giving young shortstop a chance. Yeah, Jeremy Pena was in the minor leagues for a little bit, but compared to Oswald Peraza and Anthony Volpe, but it just, that's what you get when you believe in a rookie. Sometimes it just works out, and I mean, World Series MVP, ALCS MVP, not a finalist for Rookie of the Year,
which is shocking to me.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't expecting Steven Kwan, but I think Steven Kwan was very important for Cleveland for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad about that. But Astros won a World Series. They did everything right. They're gonna bring back Dusty Baker, which is surprising that was only a 1-year contract he's getting.
But the extension, or
I thought
the extension. Isn't he kind of
old?
Isn't he kind of old?
But he's coming back again. He's a terrific, tremendous manager, one of the best in the game. I think he should have been a finalist. Well, not a finalist. I actually think the guys who were finalists in the AL were very, very well deserving. In fact, I don't know who I think should win the final, the AL Manager of the Year. I'm gonna go with, I guess, Terry Francona, because I mean that team, nobody expected them to.
I mean, the Guardians, like when you look at them on paper, we addressed this in the playoffs preview I think it's almost a month ago since we did that now, where you saw guys like, we were like, wow, this team won the AL Central division that we thought was going to be dominated by Chicago in a way that we didn't really expect. Right. Terry Francona, I think, does deserve it. In the National League, I'm just going to say my pick out there. Not biased whatsoever. I'm going to go with Buck Showalter, because the Mets, he did change some keys to the Mets that were needed to be changed. So I think, I mean, you go back to some of the other stuff. I actually want to dive into Philadelphia real quick.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Philadelphia, fair play of Philadelphia. They deserve a round of
Yeah.
applause. What they were able to do. Now, granted, we touched on it back also in the playoffs preview that anyone can catch fire in the playoffs. This year, it decided to be Philadelphia. What a run from them. The problem with them now is why didn't they sustain it? Lack of depth. Please fix that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing. And what I talked about last week with how, you look at this lineup and you look at the pitching, they have what it takes to get there for sure. It shouldn't. I guess it was different.
Their
you see
1-2
these other
punch
teams
is
were
insane.
deeper, right? Yeah, and that's why. I mean, you see the front, the main guys, and they led them there, and they were great. But really, just as a whole, they got outmatched by Houston's pitching. I think deep depth is very important. Don't get me wrong. And I think but I mean, I think once a postseason comes, you need your guys to succeed, and you need guys around them to be the guy when your main guys aren't hitting. That's what Houston learned. And that lineup also the same every single day, right? Not making much changes. They have a legit bullpen configuration, a regular bullpen configuration. They know who's pitching the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Philadelphia didn't have that. David Robertson struggled. Alvarado, they kept going to him.
He got lit.
They kept going to him
bro,
like he's their,
6.
Like they're the go-to guy, and he ran out. I mean, he was starting pumping gas down the middle, gave the home run to Alvarez in a situation where you needed to kind of throw some.
Would you have gone with
there.
him against Alvarez?
I mean, I don't know. That's a debate,
I mean,
look, I this is the whole thing we talked about with the Yankees and Garrett Cole. So I'm a big fan of keeping in your A's. Plus, I mean, if you were going to bring in a lefty, I think it's. I saw some people talking about it. It should be a crafty lefty. It's not a guy who's going to pump gas down the middle. You're not going to get that past Alvarez.
If you even want to use a lefty, because when you saw him, for those who didn't know, he had 3. How many home runs did he hit in the playoffs? 3. Alvarez?
Yeah, probably.
All 3 were against left-handed pitching.
One of them was against Castillo.
Oh, Castillo, that's right.
That's another.
I thought Castillo was a lefty for a second. Apologies.
No, yeah, it's all right.
But one of them was against, I believe it was Robbie Ray. Castillo, and then Jose Alvarado. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, I didn't think they were going to pitch to him anyway. Yeah. That's the part that confused me. Why are you pitching to him? When you knew they were throwing Alvarado, you knew it was going to leave instantly.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a debate, and it's something that Rob Thompson's going to live with. Rob Thompson, I think, should have gotten manager of the year.
Absolutely.
Look, and I get they don't count postseason, but I mean the fact that he brought them to the playoffs in general, regardless if it's a wild card team, he turned that team around. And although I do think Buck Showalter is going to get it, I really thought Bob Melvin from the Padres should have gotten more consideration.
Really?
As well. I just thought taking that team to the playoffs amidst all the Fernando Tatis drama and the way he managed that team was great. I thought. I mean. Getting really good production out of players who kind of struggled for them in the past. I feel like
he was better than who they
Myers,
have.
I think.
Yeah, Myers actually had much improved season.
Better year.
They saw Jerickson Profar had an improved season.
The guy, the shortstop, Ha-Seong Kim.
Kim, yeah, that's another one.
Great. So I thought he should have gotten more consideration as well, making the playoffs. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for the World Series.
Before we do that, Colin, do you have any input on Philadelphia?
I mean, what a season for them, man. I mean, once again, going back to that pick that I made, picking them to beat the Cardinals in that first round. And let me just say, I mean, what a run for them. I mean, granted, they did want to win that World Series, and I think that it is going to be disappointing in Philadelphia, the fact that they didn't. I'm not sure how much more viable this team is in the future. I mean, obviously, we said it before the season started, right? Or before this postseason started, that this Phillies team had a lot of holes. Now it's going to be up to them to fix these holes in the free agency going forward, because they already have one of the highest payrolls in baseball. I mean, even despite that. So are they going to be willing to spend more to possibly keep this team afloat, possibly keep this team, relevant? Because still in that division, you have the Mets, you have the Braves. So it's going to be tough going forward. But, phenomenal season just defying the odds. But just the biggest question for Phillies going forward is going to be, can it be sustainable? Can they keep it up?
I think they need more bullpen.
Yes, absolutely.
And they got to find a way to develop it. That's what Philly has struggled with big time, is developing. And I'm not, the Yankees kind of are struggling with that offensive the development, but they learned to develop young pitching from a relief pitching side.
For the next part of the show today, we're going to dive in a little bit, because free agency technically began this morning at 12:01 this morning. I got some free agents here, and we're just maybe give a little bit of our thoughts on them, like how they were on their team, and where do you think they can possibly land? I got a couple here on a list. We're going to start it off with a New York Met that I feel like will leave, and because he's gonna get paid a lot elsewhere. Jacob deGrom, yes, Jacob deGrom. He is opted out of a $32.5 million contract for this year. He has been possibly suited to fit with the Texas Rangers, the Braves, the Mets, and a bunch of other teams. There's 10 of them here. I'll start off being a fan of this team. I do. You want him to stay? I don't think they do it. If the money, I'll speak from two sides of this. Say he stays and he gets the value he's at. Can you replace Jacob deGrom? Like the Mets have been aligned with Justin Verlander recently, and I feel like it's just replacing one old pitcher with an older pitcher. Kind of like one of those teams that just wants to get significantly older for the sake of it. Just have like some not past prime, like with Verlander, but seeing Scherzer, deGrom, and Verlander in one rotation would be absolutely stupid, and it would destroy everyone. My fit for Jacob deGrom, my pick for deGrom is he is going to the Texas Rangers. Yes, you heard me, the Texas Rangers. They will find a way to pay 40 plus million to give it to deGrom, and the Mets wouldn't do it. I feel like they'd be the team to do that. Chris, you got your take on deGrom.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean, and I think we saw Diaz sign, first free agent
Yes,
sign.
that was a big one, by the way.
Yeah, and
did not think they were gonna do that.
And I was I was shocked when I first found out the money of that trade. Signing $20 million a year for a closer.
He's better than Liam Hendricks, though. He is better than Liam Hendricks.
But it's just a guy who pitches one inning. But if it would be stupid if it were any team, not the Mets. That's what I.
Yes.
That's pretty much the opinion I have, and I've seen other people agree with it as well. It's true for a guy who pitches one inning a game. But I think deGrom is going to go back to the Mets. I think, all respect to Taijuan Walker and Chris Bassett, you can replace them. You could bring in a guy like you could develop a starter. I mean, you could David Peterson is a guy. I think Tyler McGill is a guy.
Tyler McGill is coming back. We do got Tyler McGill coming back.
I mean, it's nice, not the best.
I think
but
you want to keep.
Promised. You could bring. I mean,
do you think they should keep Bassett or Walker? You have to pick one of them.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're the same type of pitcher.
I would keep Bassett. Here's why.
I mean, he's older though, right?
A little bit. He would not fall off a cliff like Walker would. 2 years in a row, he has fallen off a cliff in the second half. He's looked like an all-star in the first half, and he's fallen off a cliff in the second. So when you really look into it, they're like, wow, do we really want to keep a guy who's going to fall off a cliff like that? Then again, we did that with some other players on our team, the bullpen. But at the end of the day, I think you keep Bassett. I think he's more consistent.
Yeah,
the consistency.
I just think deGrom, even though the injuries are a concern, there's a lot of money there. The Mets, they're not going to worry about money, so they can bring back all of their guys. They can do that. Nimmo's another guy they want, but deGrom is your guy. He's been there forever, and I just feel weird just letting him go. How good he's been. He has a chance to be the real or catalyst for this team, a real X factor. And I mean, there's also the trade market if they want to go there for starters. Yes. So, I think you got to bring back deGrom.
To some degree, the situation kind of reminds me a little bit of the Aaron Judge situation in the sense that does deGrom choose the money or does he choose possibly winning the championship? Because sure, the Texas Rangers could possibly give him the highest deal. We saw the Rangers spend they spent $500 million on Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. So we know the Rangers are not going to be scared at all to spend that money. But ultimately for Jacob deGrom, it just comes down to the fact is he going to be willing to maybe take an extra $10 million a year to basically almost ensure the fact that his Hall of Fame career will not end with a reign? And that's going to be a tough pill to swallow, I'm sure. But, I mean, realistically, if he wants to still win that reign, he wants to still be a competitive pitcher, he would go to the Mets or the Braves. I think that personally, I don't see any reason to leave the Mets because he stayed on the Mets for all those years and they were at the bottom of the division. But now the Mets are starting to get more on the rise. We see Steve Cohen, the willingness to spend money. I think that roster is getting better and better. So personally, I don't see the reason as to why deGrom would leave, especially now since they have Max Scherzer in that rotation for him and one of the more formidable starting duos in baseball. But I mean, the possibility still remains that he could possibly go to Atlanta, although I just don't see the logic behind it. Personally, I think that I'm not sure what Jacob deGrom will do, but I just think that the most logical option would be to still stay with the Mets.
I don't think he's going to the Dodgers or some.
He would never leave that. He would never go to the Dodgers.
I don't think he's even going to the Yankees. I think they're pretty much out of it as well. I think it's really with deGrom. I don't know him personally. We don't. Yeah. But I think he wants to go either somewhere south or the Mets. That's pretty much it.
Well,
kind of like Nolan Ryan.
The next player is someone who has notoriously be known to kill the Mets. Trey Turner is a free agent coming over in that trade from the Nationals, where he was very good, to the Dodgers, who he's been very good. Where do you see him land?
That's tough. Definitely a big market team for sure.
Yes. Do you think he signs with the Dodgers again?
I think he could. I think it's either
Really?
Dodgers, Braves. Man,
The Mets.
and
The Mets
we'll
are
get to the Yankees, I guess, when we're talking about Judge.
Yankees can be in there.
I really want Trey Turner on the Yankees.
I want him on
although
Baltimore.
There's probably two. Yeah, that's another option for sure.
Actually, no, that would not make as much sense because they are developing Henderson. Throwing him out there because we're not going to be able to go over him due to the time we have. Carlos Correa, please sign with Baltimore. I think he would be a phenomenal. Same contract as Minnesota. He'd opt out after like year 2 or something, because if they're competitive, then he would stay in for longer. But you also have Henderson. I think if you're Baltimore, going quickly into this, I think Baltimore, you could move Henderson maybe to second, maybe find a way to keep him more versatile. You have Arias at third, you have Correa and Henderson up the middle, and whoever the heck you want at first base. Mountcastle at first. I feel like that'd be pretty good for Baltimore.
Correa, even more than the Trey Turner, he's the guy I want for the Yankees. I think he's going to go to the New York Yankees.
Correa?
I really, really, really want Carlos Correa.
That would be a phenomenal fit for you.
Not for nothing, and I hate to be blunt about it. They need someone who's got balls. They need someone who's going to – they need someone –
That's a phenomenal
They
way
need
to
a winner.
put it. That's
they
a
need a winner.
way to put it.
I need a winner who's not going to do all the stupid –
Tim Anderson.
Nonsense that Josh Donaldson did. All right, he was just an idiot for this team. All right, he didn't bring energy. He didn't bring he wasn't a villain. He wasn't someone people are scared of. He didn't live up to the task. He would complain, or he would start talking smack to the pitchers after striking out on fastballs down the middle. Like, this guy does not live up to the hype or the task. Correa does. He plays very well in the postseason. And there's a difference, right? I want him to play third base for the Yankees because I'm a big fan of the young shortstops. There's a difference between asking Correa to play third.
Who do you at second?
I want, and this is what I'm hearing other people say as well, that there's a possibility Anthony Volpe could be the second baseman.
Interesting.
Because he's more built for that. Oswald Peraza is a better shortstop defensively. So you'd have Peraza start the year at shortstop. You trade. I'm a huge advocate for it. I don't know how possible it is. They're not going to do it because Brian Cashman announced that Josh Donaldson is coming back to be the third baseman next year. Which, God,
does that mean you trade Gleyber Torres? Is that real quickly on the Yankees? Do you think they trade Gleyber Torres?
I do. I want to trade Gleyber Torres.
There you go.
Nothing against the guy. He's been a Yankee for a very long time, but he had a nice bounce back year, but he is just not the guy we expected him to be. Another experiment of Brian Cashman's to not work. I think he needs a change in scenery. I think it's a culmination. It's a combination of a lot of different things. A mixture of not hustling, or we see that a lot from him.
You see a lot from a lot of Yankees.
Donaldson as well.
This is what I thought you were going to do at the deadline this year. Was you're going to trade for Correa for Gleyber Torres? I predicted that. For those who were on the at camp with me, and we were talking about this very briefly, but on the first or second day, and I said Correa for Torres would actually make sense for the Yankees. At the end of the day, it's who knows? Maybe Correa do a sign and trade. Who knows? That's putting it out there. But
what I'm saying is now, so Volpe's in June, April could come up. You have LeMahieu, who could be the utility guy, mostly take over at second until then. Your third baseman's Correa. There's a difference between asking Correa to play third than asking IKF at third base and play short. Is because you're not filling a hole.
Yeah,
you're not filling a hole. You're asking a guy who's a shortstop.
You're not filling a hole. You're not digging. You're
not filling a hole for defense. You want Correa in there for his personality and his bat.
Exactly.
You're not. That whole IKF thing was stupid. You asked him at third baseman to play shortstop, and that's another thing with the Yankees and how analytic they are, and they don't look at other factors. They didn't look at age for Donaldson. They didn't look at the fact that IKF's at third baseman.
Why did you trade for him again? You traded for him, right?
Defense. IKF for defense at short. We thought that the defense from third would transfer to short. That didn't work.
Yeah.
Correa, you want him in here for the personality and bat. Correa's your third baseman. Peraza is your shortstop. Volpe is your second baseman. Rizzo, you bring him back for first base. And I am also a huge fan of bringing back Andrew Benintendi. If I had to choose between Benintendi and Rizzo, I'm bringing back Benintendi, although that should not be a choice.
Yeah.
The three guys should come back.
Choice.
Listen, if the Yankees don't want to get a new manager or a new front office or have a different, they believe that their process is good. The process is perfect. And Brian Cashman, which in that whole press conference with him and Boone, they said how, if you had a good process, then you're fine. You're not going to get fired. That's what Brian Cashman said, which kind of shocks me because I think it should be the other way around. It doesn't matter how you do it. Get the results, which is win a championship.
Get the job done.
But if they're content, which I'll get it done because I know we got to get to football. I'll finish this right now. If you're content with this, then go out and spend in free agency, man, and make us excited for something. Because don't let it be that you're bringing back Judge, Rizzo, and Benintendi and saying, oh, we have Benintendi a whole year. We didn't have that last year. We have Bader the whole year. We didn't have that last year. We're having our young guys finally playing in the major leagues. We didn't have that last year. No, because that's tweaking. That's just making little changes. And that's what they did last year, and it didn't work. This team needs big changes, clearly. At this point, you're seeing guys on SNY talk about it, and it's and all over the media, people are talking about it. Now it's a known thing. Spend money if you're not going to make changes at the top.
So to go back to what we were talking about earlier, your landing spot for Trey Turner is
the Braves.
The Braves. So no Dansby. So Dansby Swanson leaves.
Where do you see Dansby Swanson? There are some people a lot of people I'm hearing they think the New York Yankees are fit for Swanson.
I
would
agree
like him, but I think you need a guy who's gonna, at that point, if you're gonna spend that money, you need a guy who's really gonna move the needle. I'm not saying Swanson can't be that; he's a good player, but he's a shortstop. Definitely, I want him at shortstop. I want Correa to be at the third baseman. I just think you really need him, and that would be putting your best foot forward if you get Correa. That's not.
I agree.
I think that's something they lack. They try to be creative and they got to put their best foot forward.
Colin, before our last free agent, talk us a little bit about the situation with Trey Turner. Where do you think he lands?
Well, if I had it my way, I would want Trey Turner on the Yankees because, Chris, you brought up Carlos Correa, but I think that another aspect of this Yankees lineup is we desperately need athleticism. We need speed. So personally, if it were up to me, I'd want Trey Turner going to the Yankees, but I'm not sure how realistic that's going to be considering that. I mean, you're going to have to pay Aaron Judge, right? We still have to wait to see what happens there. You're going to have to pay maybe Benintendi, Rizzo. So I don't think it happens. In terms of the other teams out there, I mean, sure, there's a lot of other options. Chris, you said the Braves. But I'm just going to go and stick with the Dodgers. I don't think that the Dodgers are going to be necessarily willing to let him go as easily. I think that the Dodgers have been willing to spend. He was obviously a part of that championship roster. I think that actually, no, he wasn't part of that championship roster. I apologize. Yeah. But I think that Trey Turner ultimately stays with the Dodgers, and I think they just try to run it back because I think
that's an example where you might as well.
Yeah, because I think that I still think that probably the best roster in baseball, right? I mean, they lost to the Padres, and the Padres were clearly, I think, in my opinion, they're the worst roster. I think that just depends on. I think the Padres are just hot at that moment. I think that the Dodgers showed over the course of the regular season that if they keep that group intact, they can be the best team in baseball. It just depends on what they can do in October. So I'm going to say Trey Turner stays with the Dodgers.
Our last free agent. I've been waiting for this because Chris, you said his name a couple minutes ago. Aaron Judge. Yes, we are finishing with Aaron Judge. We did not start with Judge. We're ending with Aaron Judge because I feel like it'll be more fun. My thoughts on Judge, and I'll start us off with this. He is unbelievable. One word, unbelievable. The talent he has and what he brings to the field is absolutely ridiculous. It's what he brings to the table: size, athleticism, defense, 60+ home runs. You do not see that every day. It's like going up to like a world-class soccer player saying like you're the next Ronaldo and you see Ronaldo on the field. That's a quick reference, but it's something like that. So does he stay with the Yankees? He's been rumored to not like the contract offers, allegedly. It's going to be weird to see him in another uniform. But I've been hearing a little bit on the hot stove about a team called the Giants being a little interested in him. Weird fit. I don't know why he would go there if he did go to the Giants. I don't really know like what they're doing. Are they trying to be competitive? Are they like? I feel like their upside right now is last wildcard spot, and with Judge, it's the second wildcard spot. Is their upside? That's where their peak would be. So I don't think that would make a lot of sense for him. People saying like he could go to the Mets. That's not happening. We heard recently about Brian Cashman and Steinbrenner and Cohen mutually agreeing that to not have Judge leave unless like for now, to go to one New York team to the other. Weird fit. I was thinking Braves originally because like why not? Unfortunately, they have like the youngest outfield and they're all amazing.
Yeah,
what about the Astros? Think about it.
I don't know.
What about the Alvarez.
No, I don't think
Judge?
so.
That'd be a
McCormick.
very weird fit.
No, I don't think
But
so.
just picture it before I make my actual picks. I have not made my pick yet. Imagine that first.
God.
Judge, Kyle Tucker, and Jordan. That's not
Yeah.
fair.
I think they like McCormick though.
Yeah, which is why I say they don't do it.
Yeah.
My pick for this is that he does not leave. Yes, I'm a Mets fan, and he says he does not leave. He will sign a terrible contract that will look bad in 5 years. But at the end of the day, the Yankees, it doesn't make sense for him to leave. He's their best player. One thing you do in sports, you re-sign your best player to a giant contract just to make sure he stays on the roster. So that's my pick. Judge stays with the Yankees, even though a lot of people are saying that will not happen. Colin, you get to go next with this.
Yeah, so before I get into my pick, I just want to kind of recount what a strange saga this has been. So it started off with Brian Cashman giving Aaron Judge an offer, I believe it was 7 years, $210 million. And the main consensus at the time was that, well, this is a very fair offer. And I thought it was as well. I think that Aaron Judge, kind of $30 million a year annual, I feel that was good for what he was doing because he still, he didn't win an MVP up until this point. He didn't really stay healthy. So I thought that was fair. But what Aaron Judge did is he bet on himself. And that was probably one of the more impressive and smart bets I've ever seen a baseball player do. 62 home runs being the American League record, by far the most dominant hitter in baseball. And by all accounts, I believe next week we're probably going to be talking about how he just won the American League MVP. And it's very well deserved. I mean, what a phenomenal season for Aaron Judge. But there's even a point during the All-Star break where, if you do remember, he was asked a question about a young Yankee fan, possibly, what would he do with his favorite player, Aaron Judge, leaving? And Aaron Judge's answer was essentially like, well, there's plenty of other Yankees on the team that you can be a fan of. So just many weird stops on this whole entire train. And, Aaron Judge is kind of talking after the game about the Yankees in the past tense, saying how, he had a great time there, but ultimately they couldn't get it done. So if you're a Yankee fan, you're definitely concerned. But I just don't see any reason why he would leave. I think that him going to possibly the San Francisco Giants, that's mostly just been spurred by the fact that he grew up a Giants fan. And, sure, maybe he might want to follow in the footsteps of Barry Bonds, although, obviously he doesn't want to follow in part in all the footsteps of Barry Bonds. But, yeah, the Mets are also an option. I'm not sure. I think that he would become instantly the most hated man in Yankee history if he does that. So I'm going to say that he will sign. I'm going to go with a high number here, like Robbie said, too. I'm going to go 9 years, $330 million with, yes, the New York Yankees. I think he stays there. I think I ultimately, like Robbie, like you said, I don't know if it's going to be worth it in the future, but I just think you have to. He's basically forced you to. If you're the Yankees, you cannot justify going into next season, especially if you don't do anything too. Like, especially if you don't get the shortstop. If you lose Aaron Judge, you lose the fan base. I think this is simply the way it goes. So I think that he's going to get a monster contract. Like I said, 9 years, $330 million. I think Aaron Judge stays in New York Yankee.
Well, first of all, we have breaking news with the MLB trade market. Looks like the Pirates have acquired G-Man Choi.
I was just about to mention that. You still not one there.
So yeah, but
why are the Pirates trading for Ray's first baseman? Didn't they do that with Sasugo last year?
They did.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't get it.
Anyway, he better go back to the Yankees. I'll say that because listen, they if there's something with this team that I've seen a lot of, it's arrogance. The New York Yankees,
Yes.
A lot of arrogance. They don't want it. It goes with the process. How they guys who they believe run the team, everything. They believe everything they're doing is right, and it's all the guys. That's all the fault of the guys on the field, and they're just going to constantly make little changes because they think it's luck and injuries. That's what Sal Licata from SNY said. They believe that luck and injuries are the reasons that they have not won the World Series. Derek Jeter, and I thought this was very fitting. Derek Jeter was on an interview or a press conference. I think it was Drink Champs is the name of the podcast.
Drink Champs.
And he was talking about how when he was a free agent in 2010, he went to the Yankees and said, look, I want to go back to you guys. I want to be a New York Yankee. I'm not going anywhere else. So all I ask is that you respect me and be loyal to me as well. And don't make the offer public. And what does Brian Cashman and the front office do? Make it public.
I remember that.
He showed. Now,
that.
You got a unicorn right there with Derek Jeter. You have a guy who's loyal to his organization. I don't know if Aaron Judge is as loyal as the New York Yankees think he is. They made his offer public for one reason and one reason only, to make Aaron Judge look bad. You didn't take the contract that we offered you, which it was a fair contract. I get it at the time, but Judge said, I'm not taking it. I'm not doing what Jeter did. I'm not settling, right? Like the Yankees love to do at the end of every season, settle for what they do, right? I'm not settling for your offer, right? I'm gonna bet on myself. I'm gonna do what I want to do, and you're gonna give me what I want, and they better give it to him because the damn guy proved it. Maybe not in the postseason, but I do not care one bit. You bring him back, and if he goes to the San Francisco Giants, I'm scared of.
Fair
'Cause
play
they
to the
showed-
Giants. Fair play to the
I'm
Giants.
scared
to
of.
do
I'm
it.
glad that they want to spend. I'm glad they want to be competitive, but I am scared of them because I think they will go out far. But if you're the New York Yankees, you better sign Aaron Judge, or else there are going to be some real problems because you cannot replace him. And Shohei Ohtani, I don't think he's getting traded
Yeah.
until the deadline.
Well, we now shift from in the Empire State to the NFL world. We'll kick it off with the team that actually played this week, the New York Jets, who have done it again. They went out. I remember saying last week they were going to get blown out by Buffalo. What do? No expectations on this team. They did it again. They went out and beat the Buffalo Bills 20-17 in what I would call the game where the running game was evident. Zach Wilson didn't do a lot. 18-25 for 154 and a touchdown. Sounds like Jimmy Garoppolo numbers. Michael Carter was the leading rusher at 12 for 76 and a touchdown. Leading receiver was Garrett Wilson, who went 8 for 92. Unfortunately, he did not get a receiving touchdown. He also almost had a fumble on what we like to call another Philly special play that was actually supposed to go to Elijah Moore. And he was open. Garrett Wilson was indecisive about it, almost basically spiked the ball over the line, and that was deemed a fumble. But the defense, oh my God, the defense. What a game by this defense. First of all, Sauce Gardner got burned on the first play. Later gets an interception and breaks up the last play of the game that actually went for almost gone for positive yards, excluding Niels. He had a great game after the first play. Jordan Whitehead had an interception, sacks galore with guys like I forgot to mention him last week. Sorry, Quinn Williams. I forgot to mention you last week. Quincy had a good game. A lot of guys that you really wouldn't expect to have a really big game. I'm gonna highlight one play real quick. The play that ended this game. I'm gonna go to the offense. Denzel Mims. Where has he been other than this one game? His only catch for 12 yards was a couple yards slant, move forward, first down, basically iced the game. But the Bills, Stephon Diggs did absolutely nothing after the first half. Josh Allen looked terrible. 18 of 34 for 205. Now, granted that you could say he's better than Zach Wilson. He is better than Zach Wilson. But 2 interceptions on 2 passes he should not have thrown. Yes. He also ran for 2 touchdowns, which was not fair. The second one, wow. That's all I'm gonna say to that is wow. But yeah, they're a mess, Buffalo. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna characterize them today. They're a mess. You think on paper that this team should have ran over the Jets. They should have run over the Jets. They have the talent on paper on offense with Diggs and Gabe Davis. Defense, maybe you don't have the biggest team. Their D-line's still very good. Linebacking core, you got Tremaine Edmonds, and you got, I know Jordan Poyer was out and Micah Hyde, so they're out both safeties. Now, for Buffalo, I don't know. You can make all the excuses you want. Josh Allen should not have thrown either pass. That's 14 points they could have scored on. Swap the points. This is I believe a 17 to 20 point win for Buffalo. Now, after they should have won. The Jets moved back into a wild card spot. Technically, because we're on bye this week, the Jets will not be in second anymore because I get to go into this game in a bit. But Colin, any last words on the Jets before we go into some games from last week? Because the Giants got a much needed bye week this week.
Well, I actually do want to talk about that bye week for a second for the Giants because, well, something bad happened. Xavier McKinney, he's going to be out for a few weeks now because he had an accident while riding an ATV, and that is, that's very unfortunate, Robbie.
Sorry, Xavier McKinney.
Yep. Really did a lot of good work there on the back end of the defense. You know, a guy who was drafted in the second round just a couple years ago. continue to like what he's doing. But yeah, that's definitely going to be hurting that defense. But as we've seen with this Giants defense a lot, a lot of these guys are starting to step in and make plays. Really, guys are picking up off the street. So hopefully it doesn't hurt him too much. But yeah, very good win for your Jets, right? I mean, I can imagine how that feels.
You have no idea as a Jets fan how happy we were at the end of that game. You have no idea. Like, that is the biggest win we've had in years. I am not kidding. Also, the Jets are now, for those who are keeping track, the Jets are 3 games away, from having their first season over 500 in 7 years. All I'm saying is, please get it done. Though we saw, for those who were following on Twitter or Instagram, there was what was it, the coin flip? The coin flip guy, I'm going to call him today, has predicted every single Jets game right. Next game is New England in a week, I believe a week from Sunday. And we're projected to lose per the coin, to lose to New England and Chicago, and then win 4 straight. I hope we don't lose to Chicago because I actually have to dive into them because they face the Dolphins. That game is awesome. We're going to dive into that in 2 seconds. But I mean, what a win!
I have a question, bro.
Yes.
Is it possible that the Jets don't get that done? Don't get those 3 wins?
It is. Yes.
I'm looking at this. Every game is a game, I think, or not.
Well,
not every game.
You've
But,
Detroit
like,
and
for the most
Jacksonville.
part,
You've
most
Detroit
of
and
them are games.
Jacksonville.
Detroit and Jacksonville. Okay, you should win. That's 2.
I think you.
Okay, now
I think your third win is Chicago.
The Bears are one that you can win.
I think you're actually the win that will solidify the deal.
Patriots. That's okay. That's the coin flip, right?
I think the game that's going to solidify it all.
Sorry, no.
Here's what I'm calling it out right now: the Jets will beat Miami in the last week of the season.
Yeah. Okay.
They're going to rest everyone, unless seeding is up for grabs. I think Miami rests everyone, but everyone else is imploding in front of them. Understand that. I feel like the Jets, if they don't have expectations and just want to be competitive, I think they beat Minnesota. I think they can beat Minnesota. I think they can go out and beat Buffalo again.
Yeah.
They're not sweeping Buffalo. I too much optimism. They will not. They will most likely not sweep Buffalo.
Jaguars, you never know.
Well, they went out and beat Vegas. Vegas is horrible.
Should beat them.
We should beat. The Jets should beat them. They should beat Detroit. Even though Detroit, both of those teams are coming off wins. Jacksonville won and Detroit, which is interesting. But
never know.
My game of the week, I touched on both teams, Miami and Chicago. Let me start by saying this. Justin Fields, I'm sorry for going after you 3 weeks ago. I went after Justin Fields saying he threw less completed passes than Cooper Kupp having receptions. He doesn't need to throw the ball. What does he do? He uses his legs. This is what you were hoping for here, Chicago. 15 for 178 and a touchdown.
And they still lost.
Jeez. And they lost because of a blocked punt and refs. Because I thought that should have been a pass interference penalty on the second to last play of the game. And that could have gone in Chicago in field goal range, send this game to overtime. Think about that. A blocked punt and a missed call is the reason Chicago lost. They were right in the game. Darnell Mooney finally caught a touchdown. But
Tua's been really
Tua's been ridiculous.
Man.
The numbers from Tua, I feel like their run game is still horrible. Tyreek Hill is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I wish he played for the Jets. Glad I have younger players on the team. But at the end of the day, I don't know what to say about either team. This game should not have been close. Let me start by saying this. I don't believe Miami is just on paper. Miami has much more superior talent than Chicago. And what do? They play down to their competition again. Colin, didn't we see this a couple weeks ago? In MetLife? They played down to the Jets. Teddy Bridgewater gets injured. Third string does nothing. Jets put up 40 on their defense. 41 on their defense, sorry. And a 41-17 win. You can never underestimate anyone in the NFL anymore. Not even Detroit. I mean, you can kind of count Houston, but they were in that game against the Eagles for a half. That in itself. You were saying that last week, and we were all laughing at you. Fair play to them. One more game I want to dive into. The Rams. I had hope for the Rams. Their hope just got destroyed. They lost to Tampa Bay in a game they should have won. They fell apart again. They did it again. With Geno Smith winning again, he has the same record as the Jets. Understand that. Seattle and the Jets have the same record. Who would have thought they would have both been 6-3? Anyone in this room? No. I thought the Jets would be 3-6 at best. 3-6. Seattle, I said was gonna be like 2-7, I think. But Brady throws 58 times. Is this Ben Roethlisberger on the screen? I mean, they didn't have a run game in Pittsburgh, but my gosh, 280 yards on 58 pass attempts. To do the math real quickly, I believe that is 4.8 yards per pass attempt. That's not good. But at the end of the day, they got it done. Their defense held on. I mean, yes. Who's this? Cade Otton came out of nowhere again, and he showed up again for them. And Tampa got a much needed win. They go to 4-5 in first place in the NFC South. Can you believe this is tank division all over again? Look at some of these teams. I mean, you get to see Atlanta, Carolina, Tampa, and New Orleans. None of them are over 500. It's ridiculous. But now we're gonna real quickly, everyone. We're gonna dive into our games to watch for next week. The big game I'm gonna highlight. I have two. The game, if this player is healthy, is going to be the game of the week, and it's not going to be close. I'm going to go with Buffalo and Minnesota if Josh Allen is healthy. If he is not, it's a lot of weird choices. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with Washington and Philadelphia. An interesting pick. Taylor Heineke has been good, other than that one pass last week, in a game that he led Washington to almost beating Minnesota. I feel like Washington, it's in an interesting spot. I mean, they're 4-5. There's distractions within the group, but I feel like they could overcome adversity and win this game. I'm dead serious. Washington, I mean, Taylor Heineke is like decent, like good enough. Like I feel like a couple teams, Indianapolis, would want someone like Taylor Heineke. And I mean, Jalen Hurts is great. He did not look good against Houston, especially on that first half. He did not look good enough to say, like, yeah, we're going to confidently beat Houston. That game was too close for a reference. I do think Philly should win this game, but never count out Washington anymore. Colin, you got a game for us to watch, or two.
One game I'll point out here is Broncos-Titans. And the reason why I'm going to go with this game is because it seems like Ryan Tannehill is going to come back to start for the Titans. Now, we saw for the past couple of weeks Malik Willis start for Tennessee back on Sunday Night Football last week. You saw him play against the Kansas City Chiefs. He only threw about 10 passes. I mean, you can clearly see, the guy has a lot of talent, sure, but I just don't think he's ready to throw at the NFL level yet. So the Titans are going to get a big boost there. But, of course, you have to see how do the Broncos respond coming off that bye. They got that win against Jacksonville in London. People kind of, possibly could it be the turn of something. But, if you're Denver, you fall to 3-6. I mean, once again, it gets even more dire. So you're definitely looking to win this game. This is going to be a game the Broncos they've had 2 weeks to prepare for it, right? I mean, so maybe they can catch Tennessee off guard. But I think that's one of the more results I'm really fascinated to look at. So that's my game, Broncos-Titans.
I'm going to go with Seahawks-Buccaneers. This game is going to be played in Munich, Germany, the Allianz Arena, home of FC Bayern Munich. Look, it's a really good game. Geno Smith has been one of the more pleasant surprises in the NFL this season, pretty much. He's just been great. He had a big win against the Cardinals last week. And obviously Tom Brady and the Bucs came off a phenomenal win against the LA Rams. So now they're facing off each other in Munich, Germany, 9:30 a.m. on Sunday. I think there are a lot of other good games here. Vikings, Bills, Colin, as you said, Broncos, Titans. Obviously the Giants, I feel like at this point are the team you want to watch every week. Even got Patriots, Jets. I think that's another one. Both teams coming off big wins last week. But I guess mine will be just to be different. Seahawks Bucks.
So since we still have a couple more time left, we still have some time left in the show. I'm going to talk about one of the biggest stories of this week, and that's not Jeff Saturday becoming the Colts head coach. Rather, it is about the fact that Odell Beckham Jr. is now available to be signed by a team. He says that he's now healthy coming off that rehab. So kind of keeping in the spirit of what we've been doing on the show, talking about predicting where MLB players are going to go, I want to ask you guys, where do we think Odell Beckham Jr. is going to go?
The Dallas Cowboys. I've been seeing the rumors.
I
It
have.
scares me, but and also on social media.
They don't have
like,
cap space.
Yeah, but
No.
I mean, they've shown a willingness to want to get him.
If it's a multi-year deal and you pay him like the league minimum for a year,
they've shown a willingness to want to get him.
I mean,
he's shown a willingness to be happy with going there. It could happen. I don't want it to. I don't want him to go to the New York Giants, but
yeah.
if you want me to make a difference in opinion, I'll say the Dallas Cowboys.
One side of me says nowhere for the injury risk. One side says, what if there's like an underdog team that can go out and sign him? My original thought for an underdog team was Vegas, but they are terrible, so it's not Vegas. What about the Falcons? What about an underdog pick in the Falcons? I mean, I was thinking Falcons or New Orleans because he went to school from around there at LSU. So I'm thinking Falcons or Saints. I feel like Saints would be more useful, especially right now.
Giants are just the perfect fit, though.
They are. But you gotta think of a
I
tangent.
feel like there's someone not going to do it, though.
I feel like you have to think of the tangent that can really there has to be another team in the mix. New Orleans or Atlanta, I think are gonna be that team. I feel like New Orleans, they need a wide receiver. They just lost Mike Thomas again. They need a receiver. I think Odell will be a good fit with them. Atlanta, the same thing. But yeah, I mean, Colin also mentioned Jeff Saturday. Why Indianapolis? Why? I don't know why they did it. Nothing makes sense. You should have kept your defense. Was it Gus Bradley? I think is their defensive coordinator. I think he is. He should have been your head coach. I don't know. It's gonna be a very puzzling move for Indianapolis.
Well, also, I have to give my pick on Odell Beckham Jr. So let's talk about the interview which he gave. So he actually mentioned 4 teams. He mentioned the Buffalo Bills, the Green Bay Packers, the Dallas Cowboys, and New York Giants. So let's do process of elimination here. The Buffalo Bills, let's start with them. I don't see any reason why they get him. I think that you already have your weapons there. Wide receiver is clearly not a problem. I think that passing offense really does not need Odell Beckham Jr. So it really just depends on if Odell just desperately wants to be a Buffalo Bill, which I'm not sure if he does because let's face it, he already has that ring. He won it with the Los Angeles Rams. The Green Bay Packers, I mean, they've been an absolute dumpster fire. We saw what happened. They lost to the Detroit Lions 15-9. Super ugly game. Aaron Rodgers, debatably one of the worst games of his career. You're 3-6 right now in Green Bay. I'm not sure if you can turn it around. I mean, we've seen Aaron Rodgers, if his famous quote to relax and we're going to run the table, which they ended up doing, but I'm not sure if he can do it with this team. I don't think that Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be a good fit there, at least for the end of this season. So that comes down to the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Chris, you picked the Cowboys, but I'm going to say it goes to the New York Giants. I think it happens. Wow. I'm going to go with it. Sure, it might be the homer pick, but the Giants they desperately need him. And I think that ultimately, if you're Odell Beckham Jr., sure, the Cowboys are the biggest brand in football, but I think you would choose a team that made you a superstar and an icon over than you would choose the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys already got receivers, and you got, sure, CeeDee Lamb, you still have a receiver there. I mean, the Giants literally don't have anyone. You have no one there. You have Richie James. You have David Sills. You have Marcus Johnson, Darius Slayton. Kenny Galladay is coming back this week, but sure, has Kenny Galladay even done anything? He hasn't. So the Giants desperately need Odell. I think that Odell coming back to New York would be huge for that brand. It'd be huge for that city. I think that would give that Giants team an extra boost going into the postseason. The question is, there's always going to be the discussion, is that how much is Odell going to get on the contract here? But the Giants actually have a lot of cap space coming up, getting freed here soon. So I think that you can easily sign Odell to a few $1 million, even if he doesn't take the vet minimum. So I'm going to go for the overly optimistic pick. Odell comes home to the New York Giants.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he does go to the Giants.
Yeah, I think everyone as a Giants fan would want to watch that. But we are now going to dive into our new weekly segment that a good amount of you guys have liked. And that is our questions of the week from you guys, from my Instagram. First one's an NBA question. Yes, we got some NBA content for you guys. Shout out to Kurt for another good question. When does LeBron retire? When should he retire? Start there. We'll start with Colin because I don't know. I don't got an answer for this yet.
I mean, he doesn't need to right now. Although the Lakers have been very bad, they're currently sitting there at a 2-9 record. I think that LeBron has actually always said that he wants to play with his son. He wants to play in the NBA with him. So I think that I believe he'd be eligible for next year's draft, the 2024 NBA draft. So maybe the 2024-2025 season is LeBron's last, because I believe his contract with the Lakers is actually set up in the sense that if he did want to go play with his son, he could leave and go play with that team. So I think that's always kind of been his goal. I'm not sure if Bronny James is going to be able to make the league. I mean, sure, he's a talented player in high school. That's still yet to be seen. I'm not entirely sure what it's looking like in terms of if he's committed anywhere for college, but I'd say that, LeBron can keep playing as long as he wants. I truly do. I mean, you're starting to see him starting to get hurt more, That's kind of what derailed him in that 2019 season. You even saw the past couple of years, he's starting to get injured more than he ever has. LeBron James is always, just really a workhorse. He never got hurt. He actually, I believe he almost played, or he might have actually played all 82 games in that 2018 season without Kyrie Irving in Cleveland. But I think that the talent is still always going to be there. I think that if he wanted to, kind of do a basketball equivalent of Tom Brady, not to play until 45, but he could definitely play into his 40s. But I'd say that he probably he has his legacy already. I mean, he already has the 4 championship rings. I think he just plays the 2024-2025 season maybe with his son, and I think that's it for him.
Yeah, I think everyone would want to see that.
Yeah, no, that would be a lot of fun. I mean,
that'd be insane.
I mean, like, it would be super weird to see him play for like the Magic or something. Like, imagine like what's the son? Is it Bronny? Imagine like Bronny on like Utah, like something on like the 9-3 Jazz. Nah, I agree 100%. Whenever his son gets drafted, I think is when his rookie contract ends, especially because like say before the team options begin, because I believe it's 2 years then team options begin. Correct me if I'm wrong there. I think it's 100% the idea of. Actually, I just got some breaking news. Reliever Robert Suarez, first free agent re-signing of the day. Has re-signed with the Padres. But going back to the NBA, I think he does stay until the rookie contract ends, or like the first 2 years of the rookie contract. I feel like that would make a lot of sense, because like say Bronny gets traded because the team he plays for is garbage. Just to put that into perspective, why would LeBron, I think, would retire at the end of the second year? I think that would make the most sense for him. The second question from Holly, shout out, of course. What's going to be the most underrated free agent signing out of a top 20 free agent class? So the top 20 free agents, I'm going to go with the list that I have in front of me. I'm going to go with Nathan Eovaldi. You really haven't heard about him because Boston has been god-awful this year, especially in the second half. Teams to watch out for, I feel like the Mets could go after him. I feel like they need someone to replace Walker, even though he's going to get overpaid and then some. I feel like Nathan Eovaldi could be an interesting fit there. I thought originally he was going to go to Texas. I feel like that would be another one of those starters like John Gray last year. It was like a really odd fit, but it kind of makes sense at the end of the day because he's going to get his bag there. I don't think he stays in Boston, even though people think he could have people would have optimism of him staying there. Like imagine Bogarts and Eovaldi leaving. Yeah, they're screwed. I mean, all they have left is Verdugo, right?
So you said, pretty much. They have Chris Sale, but he's
destroyed.
And you got both Devers. Yeah.
Devers. Trade him. Trade him.
JD Martinez probably gonna move.
Yeah, eventually. No, hell no. Hell no. Joey, it's like saying Joey Gallo should play for them. It's like just saying Joey Gallo should play to the Mets. To the Mets. They've both been bad.
No.
I mean,
Martinez
he has been bad.
He's not what he was in 2018, but he's been a really good hitter.
I mean,
like look at his numbers. I mean, he's had a little more streaks, still struggling, but
he's too streaky. Too streaky like Joey Gallo. He's too streaky like Joey Gallo.
Wait, so what was the question?
Possibly the most underrated free agent signing this year.
Underrated, man. I'd have
Josh Bell. You could say for that.
Josh Bell's a good one. There was one. Man, I think it was I forgot who. Noah Syndergaard, I think.
Noah Syndergaard. I mean,
again, I'd have to be.
I like that pick.
I like to have the list in front of me because I don't know if you have the list.
I got some right here for you.
So yeah,
Martin
Perez. Is he still in the?
He declined the option. He's a free agent.
I think he honestly, I think he might be then.
Yeah, I like Martin
And
Perez.
another one, I'm not even. I think he's because Martin Perez has been really good. And I just saw the name there again. There's probably plenty more that I'm forgetting. One guy who I think is not going to come back, but I think he's really going to be sought after. Maybe getting a 2-year, $10 million a year contract. Matt Carpenter.
Matt Carpenter.
I don't think he's going to be maybe the guy who was at the Yankees. But he's going to be sought after. I mean, that's just a real question mark. Is he going to be that guy that he was in July and August until he got hurt, or in June as well? Is he going to be that guy? There will be teams. There will be a market for Matt Carpenter. I don't know if it's going to be the New York Yankees, but
maybe it's the Cardinals. Maybe he retires with the Maybe he retires with the Cardinals.
Maybe yeah. He could go back. Maybe the Mets because I think they're looking for a hitter, right? I mean,
we do need depends if they re-sign Naquin or not. I feel like.
Yeah. I don't know how much Carpenter is going to get. I think there will be.
We already got Vogel. We already got Vogelbach. We don't need another.
I guess so, yeah.
Colin, you got a name for us.
That's a good one.
I really wanted to say Matt Carpenter, but Chris took that. But I'll go with another Yankee. How about Andrew Benintendi? Another guy. Because if the Yankees don't get him, we're looking at a guy who was batting in 320 and was an all-star for the Royals. And I think a lot of teams are going to be looking for that because in baseball you can never really not have too much contact hitters, right? I think that's a very valuable lefty bat for a lot of teams. I think Andrew Benintendi, is someone who is definitely going to be sought after for sure. I believe someone mentioned JD Martinez, right? Because I think that's also a very big piece. Yeah.
You mentioned him.
JD Martinez is definitely also a very big piece. But yeah, definitely the one that I'm looking at the most is Andrew Benintendi because I think that people were probably going to be quick to forget that he was an all-star last year. Just phenomenal season. I think that if he was possibly available for the Yankees in the last postseason, it would have made a huge difference. I'm not saying they would have beat Houston, obviously, but that's definitely something the Yankees missed a lot. So going to a contending team, Andrew Benintendi is going to be super valuable, whether that's the Yankees or elsewhere.
Yeah, I like that.
Finally, real quick, I just want to bring this up because a little sneak peek the next week. Thursday Night Football. We get to jump into that in 2 seconds. But real quick, someone asked me on the Instagram about the World Cup. We are doing that next week. We also get to bring in a special guest. You guys get to see him all next week on the show. That's going to be a lot of fun. But real quickly, we'll head to Thursday Night Football. And before I say we get to choose our picks, we'll see what Instagram said, as it's another week of Instagram siding with one team by a country mile. Falcons and Panthers is the game. 83% of you guys said the Falcons. Let's dive into this game. We saw this game not that long ago, and we saw one of the craziest plays of the season and one of the weirdest QB performances by PJ Walker and Marcus Mariota. Two completely opposite games. Walker I believe threw over 300 yards, and Mariota basically threw like a Zach Wilson number, like 150. But my pick for this game is going to be the Atlanta Falcons. I think they keep it rolling, even though Carolina is going to be seeking revenge. I don't know how much scoring there's going to be, but my prediction is going to be 27-21 Atlanta Falcons. They get it done again, go to 5-5, and for a few days, they get to be back in first place. Chris, what's your pick for this game?
I'm also going to go with the Falcons. I was going to mess around and say the Panthers, but no, I'll go with the Falcons. At this point, I just think it comes down to record, and the Panthers have just been god awful this season. Coming off a loss to the Bengals, got destroyed. They lost to the Falcons just the game before that. A very, very high scoring game, though. It's a very high scoring game. That was in Atlanta. They're playing in Charlotte, I think that's where they play. North Carolina. So that makes a difference, but not the best. But maybe we'll get a high scoring game. I'm going to say the Atlanta Falcons win. I'm going to say 30-21. I think the Falcons are going to win.
See, I'm not going to go as high scoring because I just recently saw a report that this game is actually going to be rainy and there's going to be bad conditions there because actually I believe I just read the remnants of Hurricane Nicole is going through the Carolinas.
Yes,
so expect a lot of running in this football game. But if there's one thing about that, I think the Falcons can run the football pretty well. I think they'll do that pretty effectively. I'm not saying this is going to be a very pretty game by any stretch of the imagination because, both the Panthers and Falcons have not, necessarily had great years, although the Falcons are still leading that division. I think we saw a thriller the last time they played. I think that, obviously you're hoping for that next time, but I don't think we're going to see that. I say the Falcons win in a pretty ugly one. I'm going to go with, let's see here. Let's go 19-10. Falcons win.
I like that. I did not know it was going to rain. Yeah. If I did, another interesting score possibility, like 13-9. I feel like that would be an interesting score line. But unfortunately, everyone, that is all the time we have for today. For Colin, Chris, and myself, thank you for watching today's episode. If you're live with us, thanks for watching. If you're seeing this on YouTube, make sure to join us next week live, where we get a special guest, featured special guest next week, next Thursday for episode 10, World Cup preview. You guys don't want to miss it. But for the three of us, we'll see you guys next time.